It was exactly 1 year ago today. And it looks like my camera's crooked. Am I level? Somebody comment down below if I'm level, because it looks like I'm crooked a little bit, like I'm tilted just slightly. Anyway, it's been exactly 1 year. 1 year ago today, I had a heart attack. Uh, it's weird to say. At the time, I was 39 years old. I am currently, obviously, 40. Um, but a lot's changed and nothing's changed. So let me just paint the picture. It was a nice sunny day. I was low on my walk, on my steps. And so my goal was to get to 10,000 steps. And I decided, my oldest son asked if he could go with me. And I said, sure. And so we got on this walk, and I was about uh, just under halfway done with the walk. We're, ironically, or maybe not ironically, outside of a hospital, about 2 miles away from my house. And I started feeling weird. Weird like I'd never felt before. Like all of the symptoms, but when you've been an athlete, you get used to dealing with feeling weird and uncomfortable. And and so we had a little bit further ways to go so that we could turn around and start heading back. And it felt different. I can't even explain it. The symptoms were there, but I felt like I'd felt those symptoms before, and so I tried to disregard it. But in my back of my mind, I'm like, man, this could be serious. This could be different. So I should walk a little further, but be precautious. One other weird thing that happened was I got a notification on my phone, or on my Apple Watch, something about my heart. And I just disregarded it, because what the hell does an Apple Watch know? And apparently the Apple Watch kind of guessed it. This isn't an ad or a sponsorship for Apple and their products, but the Apple Watch was an early indicator that something was going wrong. But anyway, we are heading south in front of this hospital, and there is a bus stop, little station there. We walked past the bus stop, and I said, you know what, we're going to keep going, and if I continue to feel weird, on the way back, we're going to stop at this bus stop, and then I'll just call my wife. Because the last thing that I want to do was fall over in front of my son. That would be like, that would obviously traumatize him for the rest of his life. And I didn't want to fall over, like the classic TV or movie sequence, in front of a hospital. And so, we continue walking south, and I turn to head back, and we're still not feeling great. And I said to him, hey, let's take a break here. And the thing that I think is strange for me was my dad had heart issues, and I immediately started thinking about that. I remember when I was about my son's age, he wound up having a triple bypass surgery. I remember him having to go down to Northwestern Hospital and being there for a while because he had a triple bypass surgery. I remember one of the last times we went anywhere together, I took him to a Chicago White Sox game at that time it was called Comiskey Park. And we had to take a break because, when you park a mile and a half away, 2 miles away, it's a long walk on a hot day. I remember him having to stop and take a break. And those things are like rolling through my mind. And one of the lasting images that I have of my dad is one day he walked into a hospital because his pacemaker kept firing. And he was never able to walk on his own again. He wound up going in for a surgery and had a stroke during the surgery. and all those things are playing through my mind, and you know, the trauma and all the problems those caused. So with all that going through my mind, I said, okay, let's just take a break. Called my wife. She came over within probably 5 minutes, picked us up, and then I went and just kind of like laid down. I sat in a chair, watched the rest of the White Sox game. I think they were playing the Royals at Comiskey Park, U.S. Cellular Guaranteed Rate Field, whatever they're calling it these days. And then, you know, the symptoms eventually subsided. Then later on that day, my wife decided, hey, you know what? Why don't we just schedule a doctor's appointment just to make sure, just to be cautious? And the doctor's appointment was scheduled for Tuesday. I went in on a Tuesday. The doctor said everything looks good, everything sounds good. You know, they check your heart and your breathing. He said, why don't you just go take some tests and we'll follow up in a few days. Now, my wife works at a hospital. She worked at the hospital. And so I go take the tests, and about, 2 hours later, my wife calls me and says, you need to get to the emergency room now. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Get to the emergency room right now. Don't do anything else. And, you know, she tried to sound calm, but I could tell she was freaking out. 7 minutes later, I'm in the emergency room, and they're saying, yeah, you had a heart attack. One of your main articles or vessels, whatever they call it, whatever the kids are calling it these days, is 100% blocked. But it wasn't the big one. And the other interesting thing is they said, you know, you probably didn't experience it like other people would have experienced it, because your heart had created other lines, veins, vessels, whatever. And so, you know, you have more blood pumping to your heart. And so, you know, with all those things flowing through my mind, you know, my dad going to the hospital because his pacemaker wasn't working properly, and never walking again, never speaking coherently again. The thought of letting down my kids, not being around for my kids, was, you know, obviously very emotional, because, you know, everything that I do essentially is for them. My family, my wife, my kids, everything I do I do it for them. But yeah, so immediately started running through my head. It was the last day of school, last few days of school, and usually in the last day of school we go take them for ice cream because they usually have a half day, and then we take them out for ice cream, and then we kind of just hang out for the first half day of summer. And I wasn't able to do that because I had to stay in the hospital. And so, I don't know, within a few hours, they were putting stents in this one area. That one area was completely blocked. But other than that, I had a clean bill of health. Other than that, and being diabetic, clean bill of health. And so, you know, it was incredibly frustrating. I started thinking about, you know, I'm the coach for my son's baseball team. Now I got to send out an email. Normally I have meetings every Wednesday or Thursday, where I do like group coaching, or I had a live workshop scheduled. I had to cancel all of that. In fact, I sent out an email live from room like 1789 or something like that. And so it was a completely like crazy, eye-opening experience, and I felt like I was letting down my family. I felt like, I don't know, I think letting down my family was the biggest frustration that I was experiencing at that time. It wasn't necessarily that I was going through this health thing. It was the additional strain that I was putting on my wife and kids, and my kids don't really know what happened. My son has an idea, like, why did dad have to just go to a hospital and stay there overnight? But he doesn't know exactly. He keeps like tiptoeing around the conversation and around the question, but we didn't tell him. We chose not to tell him. We'll probably tell them when they get a little bit older, when they understand a little bit more. But yeah, it was a crazy experience, eye-opening, frustrating experience. But from all these different things, from the bad came the good. Let's talk about some of the good things. I got on a bunch of medication. All of the valves have been opened up. I'm on an insulin pump, which is good. I control my blood sugar levels much easier now. Another good thing that came out of this is at one point I was like 300 pounds. I lied to myself. I convinced myself that I was like a healthy 300 pounds, 280, 290, 300 pounds. I convinced myself that I was a healthy 300 pounds. But I don't know that you can be a healthy 300 pounds at 40 years old. And since then, really since January, I've been able to drop a decent amount of weight. Right now I'm at 265. The goal is to get down to 245. I was 245 at pre-COVID, so 2019. So the goal is to get down to 245 and then maybe 225. The last time I was 225 was in like middle school, so it'll be interesting to see if I can get down to that number. But things that I do every day to get down or try to get down to that number, I lift weights 6 days a week. I meal prep. For lunch and dinner, I have a Chipotle meal prep thing that we. So what we do is, or what I do, is I order once a week. I order catering from Chipotle. I order like 10 meals. So like rice, chicken, tomato salsa, vegetables, and a meat. And I eat that for lunch and for dinner every day. I drink sugar-free. I've never drank regular soda. I always drink sugar-free. I've, for the most part, given up alcohol. I only drink alcohol once a month, if that, maybe once every other month. But yeah, it's been a year. It's been a crazy year, and I think about that every single day. What if? What if I didn't listen? What if I didn't go to the hospital? What if I didn't? So, the doctor always suggests or recommends that I go get my labs drawn. Usually I just don't. Usually I just skip it and say, oh yeah, I'll get them later, and go about my day. I learned not to take anything for granted, the good, the bad. And I enjoy both the good and the bad, which can be difficult from time to time. So yeah, it's been 1 year. 1 year. It's hard to believe that just a year ago today, everything would change, and I didn't even know it. I blamed it on the heat, blamed it on all this other stuff. Another thing that I do in addition to lifting weights every day, I make sure to get at least 11,000 steps. When you work at home, when you work from home, it's difficult to get those steps. But during lunch, I eat my little bowl, and then immediately after, I go walk for about 30 minutes. The other thing that I started doing, which I know it makes me look crazy, is when I go lift at the gym, in between sets, I walk around the fitness area. I do two laps around the fitness equipment. I know that makes me look crazy. But by the time I leave, because I go lift right when the gym opens at 4:30. by the time I leave, I have close to 5,000 steps. And so every step that I get at 4:30 and 4:45 is a step that I don't have to get during lunch. And so instead of having to walk 4.5 miles during lunch, I only have to walk 2.5 miles, sometimes less, if I play basketball in the morning. And I know that has to look absolutely nuts to the people. You know, when you get in this routine, when you do the same thing every single day, you start to see the same people. And I know these people are looking at me like I'm absolutely nuts, but I don't care, because whatever I do now, I don't have to do later, is my mentality. If I can get 5,000 steps first thing in the morning, I only need 6,000 steps the rest of the day, and I can have all of that done by lunch, and then that doesn't include any additional steps that I get from coaching my sons or doing those other things. So all of that has really helped me drop weight, just doing those little things. So yeah, it's crazy and interesting and frustrating that I had to go through this situation, but if I didn't go through this situation, who knows if I would even be here, and the additional strain that I would have put on my family, the additional frustration of going through all of that. So I try and find joy in everything that I do. I try to make sure that I'm present more, because when you get in a routine, when you get in a system, you tend to do things on autopilot. You know, you wake up every day, I gotta do this, and this. But now I try and take a step back and enjoy. Try and enjoy when the kids are arguing, fighting, and tussling and whatever, even though it's frustrating, and they can be unruly at times. But, you know, try and take joy in it, at least a little bit, before calming them down. So yeah, that's my story. I don't know if I'm gonna do one every year, but this was interesting. Interesting. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm sure I'll get 20 comments about medical advice. I'm not gonna take it. I remember the last time I made a video like this. Someone said, "Would you try my blah blah blah?" No, I'm not gonna try whatever it is you want me to try. I'm just not gonna do it. I'm not gonna take some random person's advice on the internet, especially if you if you don't have an avatar and a real name. I'm not gonna take, and you don't have any videos up on your profile. I'm not gonna take your advice. That would be like me giving you advice on how to fish. I've got no proof that I know how to fish, but I'm just going to tell you and show you how to do it. So save your advice. I'm not going to take it. Yeah. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Tomorrow we'll be back to your regularly scheduled programming. I think tomorrow I'm going to make a video called 5 Ways to Monetize Your Email List with AI. I think that'll be a pretty cool video. Come back and check that one out if you are interested. Make sure you like, comment, follow, share, subscribe, do all that good stuff. And we'll see you in the next video.